What's going on, everybody? American Football Network here today, and today we are bringing you our Baylor Bears preview prediction video. Shout out to Scotty B. This one's for him. I'll leave a description or a card for his channel right here. You can also find the link in the description. But before we get started, make sure you guys like and subscribe. Help me reach that goal of 875 subscribers by the end of June. I really appreciate all of the support we've gotten recently. Our buddy, the football expert, just hit monetization, or the 1,000 subscribers, needs 81 watch hours to get the monetization. So make sure you guys go and check him out, and make sure you give him a subscription as well if you haven't already. You can find him down below. Check out our buddy Sorgy Stories as well. Check out links to the podcast, the website, and our College Football Roundup channel, which we do with the football expert. You can find that right here in the top right corner. But let's go ahead and get started with our video. So the Baylor Bears start off the season with the Texas State Bobcats. I don't think this game right here is much of a discussion. I think this is a win for Baylor. A good way to start out the season, considering you don't return a whole lot production starter-wise. 3 offensive starters returned, 5 defensive starters returned. And so, but on the offense, you do get the biggest piece back in Blake Shapen, your starting quarterback. Didn't have a good year last year, but 2021 was great. And the games that he filled in for Gary Bohannon during his injury. So I expect Shapen to be back, be better. Had a sophomore slump last year. He's a junior this year, much more experienced. I think that that Blake Shapen is going to be very good this year, and I think that he will show that starting out right away week 1 against Texas State. Then you get a tough one against Cameron Rising and Utah in week 2. You do get this one at home, but I think this game is a loss. I think Utah wins this game. I just think Utah is better overall. I think they're a more complete team, especially coming into week 2. Baylor could be as good as Utah this season. I don't quite see them being that improved from last year with a tough, had a tough year, 6-7. I don't see them being that improved, but they definitely have the potential. But week 2, returning very little production, having a lot of new pieces. I just don't see Baylor, being able to beat Utah. I think this could be a competitive, closer game. I just don't see Baylor getting the win here. I just think Utah's better all around, better defense, better offense, better quarterback. So I think Utah wins this game. Then they get LIU. I think this is even less of a discussion than Texas State was. I think it's a good game to bounce back after playing Utah before getting Texas. But then you do get Texas, and I think this game is a loss. I just think Texas is, again, they're a more not as complete of a team as Utah, but I think they're more talented. They have a better quarterback in Quinn Ewers. They have a better offense overall. The defense is probably a little bit better, although I do think Baylor's defense will be much better coached than Texas's defense. And I think Baylor does have the advantage, of course, with it being home field. I could see them winning this game, but I do think Texas will win. I think Texas is a better overall team. They're more talented, and at the end of the day, these games come down to quarterback, and Quinn Ewers is just a better quarterback than Blake Shapen is. And I think that will be the biggest difference. But much like the Utah game, I do think this will be a close one. Then they get UCF on the road. I think they lose this game. You're coming off a tough matchup against Texas, and 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior, a tough one against Utah. And then you come in on the road to UCF, a team that is pretty good and very well coached under Gus Malzahn. And that's going to be a tough environment. And I think UCF will get the win there. I think it's going to be tough for Baylor in their first road game of the season. But I could definitely see UCF losing this game and Baylor getting the win. But I do think this is going to be a loss for Baylor. So I have them at 2-3 through the first 5 weeks. Then they get Texas Tech at home, and I think they bounce back this week. I think they beat Texas Tech. This will be a good win. And one other thing I noticed about Baylor's schedule is a lot of the tougher teams they do get at home, which makes this a very workable schedule. If that makes any sense, they definitely can steal some games from people. They get Utah at home, they get Texas at home, they get Texas Tech at home, they get Houston at home, Iowa State at home, West Virginia at home. Those are some pretty tough matchups at home compared to on the road. You do go on the road to UCF, on the road to Kansas State, on the road to TCU. We'll see what TCU is. I don't know if I would call that one a tough road game or not yet. It depends on really what they show. Kind of the same thing with Kansas State, although Kansas State does return a quarterback who's going to be very good. And we'll see with UCF. I don't even think you can consider that one really a tough road game either. So they, on paper, they only have one, maybe two absolutely tough games going into the season that are going to be on the road with Kansas State and then your pick of UCF and TCU. I'm not sure either one of those teams is proven, especially TCU with all that they lost. But I think it's a very workable schedule. I think at home against Texas Tech, coming off of two tough games, I think Baylor will find a way to win. I think they'll really step it up, and they'll come in and get the win over Texas Tech, who could be very good this year. And I could see Texas Tech winning this game, but I do think Baylor is the better football team, and I do think that they're going to have better quarterback play. They're going to be, kind of worked all the kinks out by, week 6 in the season. So I think Baylor will be just fine come this Texas Tech game, and I think they will get the win. Then you get the off week, and then you get the off week, and then you go on the road to Cincinnati. I think this is a win. I think Cincinnati's going to have a down year. They lose their head coach, Luke Fickell. They hire Scott Satterfield. He's a very good head coach, in my opinion. I just don't see him being able to really do much week 1 with this team. And I mean, not week 1, excuse me, year 1 with this team. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference. Still kind of stuck quarterback-wise, as he has Emory Jones, who, could be very good. He's definitely athletic, and I could see him being really good. They do have Evan Prater and Ben Bryant also behind him. But, I mean, that's something that's interesting to me is Emory Jones at Cincinnati under Scott Satterfield. We saw what Satterfield did with Malik Cunningham, and now he gets another guy similar. I don't think he's, just as talented as Cunningham is, but he definitely has the same skill set, so we could see him excel at Cincinnati. But I still think Baylor's the better team with the better quarterback, the better offense, and definitely the better defense. I think that defense is going to be a big, strong point on this Baylor team this year. You're not going to see them lose to West Virginia giving up 43 points, or barely beating Oklahoma giving up 35, or losing to Kansas State giving up 31, or losing to Texas giving up 38, or giving up 30 to Air Force. So I think this defense is going to be much improved despite losing 6 starters. They return four starters who are seniors as well, so they have a lot of experience. They have 2 seniors filling in also from that were in backup roles last year. So very experienced defense. I think they're going to be good. I think they'll get the win at Cincinnati, and I think a little win streak of 3 games will build up here as I think they beat Iowa State at home. I think Iowa State, they had that one good year where they were a top 10 team and were in the Big 12 championship, I believe, and lost to Oklahoma. I'm trying to remember. All the years are starting to run together now. From that time period, I can't remember which is which. I know they crushed Oregon in the bowl game, but they've taken a big hit since then. I don't think Iowa State's the same team they used to be. I think Baylor is, I think Baylor's going to be the better team in this game. Maybe not quite as talented, but I think, again, at this point in the season, any of the problems that you would have had early on are going to be worked through. And so I think at this point that it's safe to say Baylor is the better team and we'll get the win here, in my opinion. Then you look at the Houston game. I think they get a win. I think it's going to be tough for Houston, Cincinnati, UCF, and BYU as they make their way into the Big 12 for the first season, and a lot of them lose a lot of pieces. Houston and Cincinnati, Houston and BYU both losing quarterbacks. BYU at least replaced their quarterback with Keaton Slovis, so that does help. But I think this is going to be a tough year for those schools, and I think Baylor gets the win. I think they're simply just better in every aspect than Houston. Better offense, better defense, better quarterback, better pretty much every position, and much better coach. And I think Dave Aranda is going to coach these guys into a bounce back year. Then they go on the road to Kansas State. I do think they lose this game. I think Kansas State just has a little bit too much. I think they're going to be improved. Despite losing some key pieces to that team, I think they will be improved. They return their quarterback in Will Howard. I like him a lot. I think Chris Kleiman is a very good coach. And I think that Kansas State is really just going to be too much. They return 7 starters on offense, including the entire offensive line and the quarterback. So I think it will be difficult for Baylor to win this game, especially on the road, but I wouldn't count Baylor out in this game. I think all 4 games that I have them losing so far, I think are winnable games that they could win. Then they go on the road to TCU. I think they lose this game, but this is a game I'm kind of 50-50 up on in the air. If TCU is what people think they're going to be and bouncing back this year and Sonny Dykes continuing to win, then I think TCU wins this game, but we don't really know what they're going to be. To be fair, we also don't really know what Baylor's going to be either, but I think this is, again, a very winnable game for Baylor. Both of these teams have a lot of question marks going into the season. What are they going to be? Baylor's one of those teams that could win 3 games to not 3 games, but, go 5-7, 6-6 to, go 9-3 potentially. So they got a big window, and the same thing with TCU. So this will be an interesting game. I think it's a winnable game for Baylor, but I do have them with the loss here. And then you close out your season. I have you getting a win against the West Virginia Mountaineers. West Virginia is kind of in a weird spot right now. They did beat you last year, 43-40 on the road, but I don't see a game like that coming again. I think Baylor will win this game by 10+ points. I think it's going to be a big game for the Mountaineers. For the Bears over the Mountaineers, and I think Baylor will get the win in this game. And, pretty comfortable win there, I think, is going to come. But that wraps up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Again, go subscribe to Scotty B, the Baylor King. Check him out. Appreciate all you guys watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. Help me hit that goal of 875 subscribers by the end of June. I appreciate all your support and all you guys watching. I'll see you guys next time.